Okay, as we generally do, even as you all know, during the live meetings and in all the past virtual meetings, we start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, which we will do right now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Over the past couple of meetings, we've had some special acknowledgements for people that have passed or crossed the bar, as we say. I haven't received any new notifications for this month. We don't know in terms of our membership who has passed, but we try to celebrate everybody that has gone on. As of yesterday, with the pandemic for the United States, we have 604,418 people that have passed due to COVID-19. I pray that all of you that can get them think about please getting vaccinated. I've been vaccinated. I got both my shots. I did the Pfizer. My wife has as well. Even though we still go with the mask mandates, a lot of places, retailers are more well within their rights of saying you can't come in here unless you have a mask. It protects their employees, and it also helps to protect you when you're shopping. Although our trip this past 4 days in Pennsylvania, a lot of people just are not wearing masks inside establishments. I see it in the restaurant. If you're eating, of course, you can't eat through a mask. But if you're going shopping, yeah, please do so. It's the only way. It's one of the ways that's going to help stop this thing. We get back to what we should be doing. So, in honor of those that have crossed the bar in memory. Okay, so we are still soliciting for volunteers. We have positions that still need to be filled. Communications director, assistant editor for Constant Contact, assistant to programs and events director, and our Twitter monitor. These are positions that we're still looking for people. Again, it's all volunteer. Everything can be done from home or from any place you may be at the time. If you've gotten detailed someplace else, take your laptop and you can still do it from there. Those are in positions, Priscilla, that you know of. Are we good with everything else?
Yeah, that's it. And the key is that you can do it from any place you have an internet connection.
Right. Okay. And also what we try to do on when we meet in person at the our live meetings is introduce the board, so you know who the people are that are steering the association, which I believe in the right directions. You all have seen me for quite a while, and I'll mention something about that in a little bit. I'm your president. Vicky is the supporter, is the vice president. Vicky, can you wave your hand? There she is, over there. Um, Assistant Vice President is Hamilton Gale. I know he's not online this evening. Of course, Secretary is Priscilla Travis. Um, our right-hand person that takes care of all of us and keeps us straight. Um, Carl Bart is our treasurer. Right here, and there he is. He keeps our money straight. We are. I'm affiliated with a number of associations, so as is my wife, and I know of no other association that is so liquid as we are. No pun intended. But Carl keeps us straight in that respect. Zach, are you online? I don't see the name and I don't see him. Zachary Jasnoff is our continuing education director. Robert Young is our programs. I'm sorry, Robert. Yeah, Robert Young is our jobs program director. And I don't see him online yet. Phil Gaudier is our membership director. He's the one with the fancy ship's bridge behind him. Dave Sire, there he is. He's our webmaster. Our programs and events director, Yvonne Brandt, is not with us tonight, but taking her spot in terms of the rest of the program. We're going to transfer it over to Priscilla, who will introduce our speaker, and we will proceed from there.
Is it time to introduce our speaker?
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's get started. Angel Calderon works as a civilian commercial vessel safety specialist at U.S. Coast Guard headquarters. Joining the Coast Guard Reserve in 1987 while still in high school in Puerto Rico, Mr. Calderon has served a total of 30 years on active and reserve duty. During his career, he's been involved in various capacities with the Exxon Valdez oil spill, as explosives handling supervisor in South Carolina during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he worked in New Orleans to reestablish operations after Hurricane Katrina. During 4 years on active duty, Angel was the commercial fishing vessel and six-pack examiner. I'm not sure what kind of six-packs, but you can use your imagination, for Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. He was deployed for 3 years with operations for the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. He certainly had lots of interesting assignments, and tonight he'll share some of his extensive experience. Please give a Zoom welcome to Angel Calderon.
Thank you, Priscilla. God bless
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Well, let me get video so we can put the presentation. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is having a great evening today and is excited as me to talk about undocumented vessels who can be, uninspected vessels who are not unregulated. As I know, most of you, or if not all of you, are captains with licenses, so you guys know that having a six-pack or a 12-pack, depending on the gross tonnage, doesn't mean that you are really unregulated. Actually, you have more pressure to comply with the law than maybe the inspected fleet. Because on the inspected fleet, we go there and we make you to satisfy the law on your benefit, for sure. On the uninspected fleet, the system wants you, the captains, to contact the Coast Guard to help you to satisfy the law. So it's the burden is on the vessel master, operator, or vessel owner, basically. Okay. Question: how many of you guys are handling six-pack or 12-pack? Can you put your hands up using the application? Nobody?
Yeah, Angel, I'm not sure whether in the presentation here you can see everybody. Most of our members are above 6 to 12 pack,
Okay,
and some have 200 ton, some have unlimited.
unlimited.
So I just thought I would throw that in.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I wasn't real aware of that one. Okay, let's begin into this then. For uninspected, they fall under the 46 CFR 24 to the part 28, which mean they have to comply voluntarily with the law in regards to their commercial fishing or their passenger operations. When they need to comply voluntarily, they can only take between 6 and 12 people, depending on the vessel situation or vessel capacity based on tonnage. So from 5 tons to 100 tons, you may carry voluntarily 6 people, and more than 100 up to 300 tons, up to 12 people, without going into inspected. So as the president just says, when you have a 15 tons, 100 tons, 150 tons, really what it says is that you can go more than 12 miles, 50 miles, depending on the situation, most of the time. People who only have OUPV licenses may be going coastwise, maybe delimited by the 3 miles out, depending on the license. But once you have a tonnage license, then your tonnage give you the authority or the responsibility, to go ahead more than 3 nautical miles out. By fact, people begin in the OUPV most of the time, unless they have vast experience in the water, and then they take real licenses like the 50, the 100 ones, etc. Really, what do that means? Well, an OUPV license may operate any vessel up to 100 tons, but is delimited up to the distance that he can operate. When you guys have a regular license, then your license is open. Most of the time it's open water. So most of the time you may be able to go up to the 200 nautical miles based on your license. That's how it works. As you guys know, most of the people who operate with licenses even unlimited, they try to operate in vessels that are documented. That being said, anybody with a limited license, 100, 150, may even go in a state vessel to the EEZ zone, which is up to 200 nautical miles without any problem. Why it's important to talk about the EEZ zone? Because that's where the real big catch is. Once you pass the 50, that's where the action is most of the time on migratory species like tuna, fin shark, etc. If you are only looking for a trophy fish, maybe up to the 50 is good enough. Sometimes even 25, depending where you're located. Okay. So as I say, 100 gross tons is that a special limit to say 6 people or more than 6 up to 12. And when I talk about 6 people, I'm talking about passengers that are paying for the service. Sometimes, like you guys know, some people try to say, well, only have 5 passengers on board, paying passengers, and the other 2 are just here for fun. No, that's not real. Either the person is on the boat working as a crew member, or the person is a passenger. Going out for the fun is good when you are with your family. And as you guys are aware, the vessel system is not like a taxi. When I say a taxi, it's because on the road, if you own a taxi, Technically, you are not allowed to drive your family around the community because the taxi is a commercial vehicle. In the water, it's not the same. You may have a commercial vessel, but also that vessel may be for recreational activities too. So if you are wise enough to have a documented vessel that is commercial inspected, for example, and you also say it's going to be recreational in your documentation, then you can use it for everything. So it's up to you how you document your vessel. Okay. By the way, if you guys have any doubts, any comments, just raise your hand or write down the question in the chat room. Okay. We talked already about the gross tonnage. That one is done. Now, as you guys know already, the license is what is in place to look into if that charter is legal or illegal. So the first thing is anytime somebody's taking somebody else's in the boat as a paying customer, a license need to be in place. Either the person comply with the law or doesn't comply. We, the Coast Guard, doesn't know who is complying or who doesn't unless we stop the person and do a boarding or somebody from the area let us know. That's the reality. Yes, before 9/11, we were, and this is 2001, we were able to do more boardings as recreational level. But since 2001, the Coast Guard have too many hats, too many missions. And that doesn't mean that we have more people to accomplish the mission. So there is a reality. 40 and 100 boardings are either stable, no matter we have more boats in the water, or in certain areas are lower because we are doing drug interdiction, because we are doing other things to protect the nation. Okay, so it's not that we don't want to do more boardings on recreational vessels or so-called recreational vessel who is taking passengers out for profit. It's just that we really don't have the time. But anytime anybody contact one of our offices and let us know that they understand something great is happening, we will gladly try to put a lip in there and do it. You guys may be aware of the different actions that may happen in Minnesota, Florida. In 2019, we cranked about 25 vessels in Florida. Some of them even multi-million-dollar vessels that they were just useful for party boats without any license on board. In Maryland, we stopped 4 vessels in 19. The number for 2020 for sure are super low. The COVID shut most of the system, so we were just maintaining control on commercial vessels, like on the tied up on the piers. We were not really boarding anything outside unless it was cargo or they were like doing test ships on cruise ships. Okay. A passenger for hire, as you guys know already because of your experience, is anybody paying for the trip. If the person is sharing the cost of gasoline, of food, of being out, the Coast Guard doesn't see that as a paying system. That's just like having a friend on board and invited to be on board. As I say before, if you have the condition of commercial vessel and coast-wise endorsement and recreational endorsement and your documentation, you're covered. Now, some people don't have the recreational endorsement, and that's when the headache comes. It's very easy to solve the issue. It's just about good communication. So based on the regulation I already told you about uninspected, we do have the 24 to the 28 title of the 46 CFR available, which says that we're gonna regulate the vessel name. From where you're taking your vessel name? Well, you as an owner put a name, and you as an owner pay a COD, a certificate of documentation, with a name. So you decide the vessel name. Please put the vessel name where it belongs on the transom. In there also, it's up to the owner to identify the port from when they are going out. When people decide that they don't want to identify their vessels on the transom, as the law says, and it's more than 5 net tons, then it's into the Coast Guard to go out and identify you. How do we identify you? Well, we really educate the master, owner, or operator in that moment. Yeah, that cost $10,000 because having ghost vessels running around is a headache for any government, and our waters are very appreciated. So we don't like ghost vessels around. So any vessel that operates in the US, we really like to be identified with a name and the port. If not, the educational value is $10,000. And the person have 30 days to comply. If they got caught again, then we make a stop on the vessel. So stop and desist operation, named Captain de Port Order, meaning you get tied up to the pier. And if you are one of those that said, well, I don't recognize the US government authority on my vessel, then I'm so sorry, then you can use our waters. So you either stay tied up or we then take also possession of the vessel. So it's a funny way to educate, but effective. Vessel documentation and state registration. The law says that any vessel that is 5 net tons shall be documented. When this thing about documentation began was in the First World War. So it was for the US to know how many vessels we do have, 5 net tons or more, to assist on the Navy. That was at the beginning. Now it's more about consistency. It's not about who knows who's whom. So anybody who is 5 net tons or more should be documented. If the person decides to share more money with the state, like we all want to do that and pay more taxes, you can have their vessel documentation and a state register too. Up to you. But what the law says is you must be documented. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be paying state taxes for property, okay? That only means that you don't need to pay state registration because the federal government is already accounting you for that one. That being said, some people like to go in different part of the law and saying, well, for example, okay, I'm from Texas. I want my money going to Texas, so I don't want it to be a state register. Yes, you can do that. The federal government have been more than lenient lately to allowing vessel owners and operators to register the more than 5 net tons vessels on state areas. That being said, if your vessel ended to be commercial, then that's not the issue. If your vessel is commercial, then it must be federal documented. It only applies to recreational vessels, okay? Another thing that we are really into regulate, as I already talked, is about the license of the person handling that boat. So either the person have an all UPV license or a tonnage license. Now, if you go by tonnage and your vessel is like a 42, and all of a sudden that 42 is, because I don't know, it's a heavy 42, well segregated, and all of a sudden it's like, let's say 32 tons. That doesn't make too much sense, maybe. And your license only for 25 tons. Yes, you are more than capable of maybe be the master of that vessel, but because of your tonnage, you're not allowed. Some people are like saying, well, my tonnage license is more than adequate than an all UPV license. Well, but the law says that the all UPV license may go to up to 100 tons. And your tonnage license is up to the tonnage that you're allowed. That's how it works. So it's not about we don't recognize your experience. It's just that that's how the world moves, okay? NAP rules. Any vessel that operates more than 3 nautical miles out should know about the NAP rules. Any vessel that operates inside the 3 nautical miles should know also about the NAP rules. So just saying I know the captain license outside of the 3 nautical miles doesn't exempt you to knowing where you're going and how to operate the vessel. That's a big issue between recreational boaters and commercial boaters. Some state, for their own reasons, may decide, well, if the vessel is state registered, we decide that they don't need to know about NAV rules. It's good enough for them to do the boating inside our waters. Well, if the Coast Guard approach to the vessel and you are doing commercial activity, that's not the case again. Once you are in commercial, you must comply with the rules. Lights. That's another issue that we regulate to uninspected vessels. And some captains and some owners are, for whatever reason, hesitate to comply. I have many people in Maryland who have told me, why do I need lights if I only go out early in the morning and I come back maybe late in the evening? It's not night. Well, that's half true. Why? Because early in the morning for some people is 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. There is no light at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So yes, you need to have an artificial light to comply with the law. We need to see you. We want all the boaters to see you for safety. And also, it's not true that you're coming back early by 7 p.m. Because what happens is there is a storm. Everything go pitch black for whatever reason. Then somebody need to look up for you, you know? So you need to have a light. Also, the light is a way to comply with the safety on bad weather. Foul weather shows up, there's no way to just saying, oh, I wasn't expecting it. It's about riding the waves. And the only way to somebody else's know that you are out there is when you turn on your lights. And if you have a horn, you sound your horn in the fog saying, hey, I'm around. Some people don't like to do that, but that's a reality. I have customers that they have air horns inside a full secluded cabin where you cannot open the windows. They have a nice AC, but they have an air horn inside. Yeah, how are you gonna use it in case of heavy fog? I understand that's what the law said, by the way. The law says that you may have one of those, but can you articulate how you're gonna use it? How you gonna prevent an accident from inside your nice cabin, like Philip had there, nice cabin? So that's why lights are important. The same thing for the flares. Because of your licenses, you guys know that yes, you have need flares, 363 for most of you guys. But for operators inside, it's only 3 days and 3 lights and 3 nights. That's all what they need. Actually, it's just one of those regular flares that they twist day and night. That being said, some people doesn't like to comply because they will say, well, I'm inside the 3 nautical miles. Why do I need it? Well, because something happened to you and you're looking for help. That's the only way to get help. Going out to your transit and begin to move your hand and say, help, 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 doesn't help you at all. So that's why the flares are important. That's why we educate people that is there in the river, and that river is up to 2 miles from one side to the other. Yes, they do need flares. That's what the law says. The law only wants to protect them from themselves, because we as human beings sometimes need that, somebody to protect us. That's why we have a mom or a dad, and we grow up, and sometimes the government try to do that for us too. So lights and flares goes together. They're part of the law. People can go up and down saying, I don't want to have light because I only go from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sounds good, yeah. And then all of a sudden, your engine stall. You're floating out there. You're floating out there, your radio doesn't work. For whatever reason, the cell phone decide not to talk, don't work too. And you keep trying to text someone, and because you're trying to text, your cell phone run out of battery. Guess what? You don't have lights at 9 p.m. You're pitch black, let's say in Fish Creek. Who's gonna look for you over there? Oh, the Coast Guard is gonna be looking for you because your family is worried for you. Yeah, everybody expect the Coast Guard to find you. It's our mission, and we do love to do that. But what about you have a flare to show, hey, I'm here? So that's why those rules are important. Another thing that the 46 CFR 24 to 28 talks about is the type of life-saving equipment, life jackets. Most of the people that go out, they hate to have type 1s on board. All wreck wants to have a type 5, a nice skinny life jacket with just a belt in the middle, and that's it. That sounds professional, that looks awesome, and is for jet skis, etc., to have fun. Yeah, but that's not what the law says. The law says, well, since you're doing a commercial operation and you're taking people out, in case of an emergency, you are required to have a type 1. So what do that mean at the end? Yes, you guys as owner operators of the vessel may have type 5 for your clients or more. But at the same time, you are required to carry type 1s for in case of an emergency. So yes, it's okay for you guys to have more than we, the Coast Guard, tell you. That's awesome. We are all pro have your clients safe. That being said, you need to comply with the law with the type 1. On the right side of that presentation, you'll see the type 1, type 2, type 3 information, saying that type 1 is the one gonna keep you facing full up no matter you're unconscious. Type 2 is the one that will try to switch you on the other side, but it's just a trying, doesn't have to, because of the floatability ground that the PFD have. So it will try to turn you upside, but doesn't have to make it happen. Type 3, for sure, is not designed to drive you face up. Most of the time, gonna drive you face down because of the floatability, how it is designed. Type 4, for in your guys' case, might be white, 24 or 20 dimension, depending on the vessel size. It's all about then the line. The line may be 60 feet or 90 feet, depending on the vessel size. So again, it's up to you guys, because the law is a little bit crazy in that one. The law says that because you guys are taking somebody else's out voluntarily, it's up to you guys to keep them aware of the safety items. So that's why the law says that every time you guys take out people, you must give them a drill before going out and do the operation. So you're gonna talk to them, explain the safety items, where they are located, how to use the radio, because if something happened to you guys, you know, they should know that there is a radio and how to use it. So those things are there for you. Now, the last thing that I'm gonna talk about the 46 CFR is drug testing. Why? Right now, most of the states are moving forward in this, I will say 2020 idea of diverse their taxes. And because they want to have more taxes, they understand it's good to deregulate the drugs in the area like marijuana. Federal government is not aligned with that position yet. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but right now it's not. So yes, the master, as you guys know, must comply with a drug testing program, and anyone in the vessel that work on the safety of the participants or the crew must pass also a drug testing program. It's not voluntarily, that's what the law says. That being said, who is responsible of the crew members pass the drug testing? For sure, it's about the person. That's the first part. Any crew member or more should be aware. Hey, you work here, you work in a vessel, you are taking care of other people's souls. When you go out and you come back, drugs are not allowed on board. You cannot use it. Oh, it's recreational. I'm in Colorado and it's approved. I'm so sorry. Yes. Stateside is approved. Recreational is approved on land, but even recreational boating is not approved. So that's important to understand to the employees. Now it's up to the employer to be sure they're complying with the law. That's why there is a testing program implemented for that. And we, the Coast Guard, require you guys to comply. That being said, that doesn't care about the amount of employees that you are having. That doesn't care about if your vessel is inspected, uninspected, or for you guys that are from Maryland, guide services. We don't take that one in consideration because you are in a vessel, you're doing a passenger operation. So yes, you must comply. The easiest way to comply is going into a drug consortium. We, the Coast Guard, do not recommend drug consortiums because there are too many already in the area. It's a competition, and we don't go into that. We don't introduce, you know, or we don't immerse into talking about one drug consortium or the other. The only thing that we as a Coast Guard can tell you guys is that in 1989, the Maritime Drug Consortium was formed. And that is the biggest one and oldest one operating. That doesn't mean they are the best, okay? That only means that they exist. That only means when you guys go into the internet to look for one, at least that one is real. I cannot recommend them. All I can say is like they are real. Why I say this? Because when we go to the internet, too many things are fake. Fake news is not something from 19 or 20. Fake news has been for a while. And some people pass their information using the internet thinking that the other person at the other side of the monitor is real. And I cannot guarantee you that one. So I will never pass my credit card information, my vote information, my address, my captain license number using the internet to somebody that I don't know who is on the other side, just because sounds good and is under the price of the other one. Okay. So that being said, I'm not recommending nobody. I'm just saying the Maritime Drug Consortium is real. At least that one's real. What do these consortium companies do? They minimize the price of the operation, as you guys know. I bet everybody is using one type of other of consortium because it's gonna minimize your price operation. How? Human resources is the best example. First of all, they're in charge of documenting who worked for you and if they pass or they don't pass the drug test. And if they pass the drug test, how many times they have passed it in the last 5 years. Why? Because there is a law, and the law says that you as a vessel owners or operators need to maintain tabs of that information. So that's how these people work. What they do is they take the law, they act as a secretary for you, they save your data, and when the government comes to you and say, hey, show me proof of compliance, you only contact them and say, hey, send everything from my employees, please. And they will give you a full tab of your information. That doesn't mean that you guys can do the same at your own, okay? You guys can create your own system, put tabs on your employees, tell your employees, okay, it's already 3 months and we are 3. So one person every month, as easy as that. And that's how you guys decide to work it out, you know? It's gonna cost money. Yes, it's gonna cost money. Cost money to make money. That's how the system works, and you guys know. So it's a cost of business. Okay. Safety items. As all of you guys know, you guys doesn't need to have EPIRB or life raft by law, unless you guys are more than 50 miles out. But commercial fishermen, once they pass the 3, they do need a life raft, they do need an immersion suit. So the law is different for you guys as commercial passenger operators. Good, bad, it's not on me to evaluate that one. Now it's on you guys to maybe promote yourself and saying, okay, every time I take 10 souls in my boat, I do have an immersion suit, for example, if we are talking November or December. Maybe that is a way for you guys to get more clients. Explain to their clients, okay, I'm doing a little bit more than the rest. The law says that having a type 1 is good enough in November, December, etc. For you guys, not for commercial fishermen. Now, as you can see here, having an immersion suit on board have some consequences that you need to be like checking your equipment. The same thing that you guys do your type 1. It's just that you need to be more in detail because, for example, the seams, they may unglue it with the time. And sometimes the idea is $365, $1 per day. That's how much a dry suit, an immersion suit costs. It's too much money. And you may decide, okay, instead of 5 years, I'm gonna keep it for 15 years. Well, most of the time the glue is gonna dissipate and you're gonna have a hole on the seams, a natural hole. And some people will say, well, let's take a nice needle and let's use some nice 500 pounds wire and let's do this doing ourselves. No, that's not good at all because you're doing holes in one thing that is created to be dry on the inside, and then you're gonna go down all the way down because you decide to sue yourself. So yeah, it's better to pay the 365 every 5 or 7 years. I'm not saying that you have to, I'm just saying that you need to maintain your equipment. And again, it's the cost of doing business. and doing business the right way. One thing that is a little bit interesting is like some operators still don't get that you guys need to maintain your fire extinguishers in brackets. Sometimes you go and get your nice kitty fire extinguishers and you mount it in different places in the vessel, and you just tie it down with a bungee rope around the chair because they're right here, they're accessible. Well, guess what? The law says that it should be in a bracket, and the bracket comes inside the box with the fire extinguisher. So it's just about remember, oh, here's a fire extinguisher. Oh, here's the bracket. Just put that bracket, or whatever you guys want to put it really. We, the Coast Guard, are not into where you locate it. The important part is to have it available, readily available in case of an emergency. So just don't throw it all the way to the front. Just don't throw it in the fish can. Just keep it in some place, ready available in its bracket. You keep it, take it from there, and it's awesome. You use it, then you go back and replace it. Fire extinguishers are either rechargeable or not rechargeables, okay? If they are non-rechargeable, then you know that the answer. You need to dispose of it and get a new one. If you decide to go in a route of rechargeable, then it's on you to verify that that fire extinguisher is good every 6 months because you decide to go in that route. If you guys decide to, why, it's a cost of doing business, I'm gonna pay to a kitty representative to come to my boat and do the inspection, and I just paid $20 per, I think it's 5 that they check for $20. That's intelligent. It's good. You guys can do that too. The important part, every time that person comes by, they punch that record that they're gonna tag in that fire extinguisher. Because if they don't tag it and they don't maintain a log, then it's on you as vessel owner to do it, no matter what. Why? Because that's what the law says. And in case you have any doubt, you can always call Bruce, because Bruce knows everything. Yeah, Bruce? The last thing, and I bet you guys know about this already, is bareboat renting. So a bareboat is not a UPV operation. A bareboat is just taking your vessel. Remember I told you, you may have it coast-wise and also have it recreational in your documentation. Well, that's when that's part of the documentation comes important, because you are renting or you are leasing your recreational vessel in that moment. You are not leasing your commercial boat. You are giving rights to the person who's getting that vessel as recreational. So for 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 1, 2, 3 days, a week, or whatever you guys decide to lease that vessel is no longer yours. Belongs to the person who leases it. Whatever that person do in that boat, legal is awesome. Illegally, it's on you too. Why? Because if that illegality runs into the borderline of be a crashes manner, meaning you can lose your boat, then you need to get a nice lawyer to get it back. Why? Because you did a bad deal. Bareboat renting, as you can see in that in the screen right there, is when you sign a contract to deliver your boat to somebody else's. It's like renting a car, just like you are giving full power to the person. You handle the keys, and you're handling your rights to the boat for as many hours as you rented. Okay. Some people are like, okay, I'm doing this because it's good money. Most people are doing it because it's like between 5,000 to 8,000 for 4 hours, depending how nice the party is going to happen and how many people are going to be there, how many VIPs are going to be there. That sounds awesome money. That also saying 12 people are going to be on board, and who's going to be driving the boat. Some people like to say, well, it's my boat. I'm not going to be there, but my son is going to be in charge because I'm giving my rights and my son is my captain. He's going to keep things straight for me. No, you can do that. That's illegal. When you decide to do a bareboat, means that bareboat, you are renting your asset to somebody else's, and that somebody else's will decide who's driving the boat. Ah, that sounds ugly because I don't know if they're gonna take care of my product. Well, that's when you're gonna need a nice lawyer to do your contract, and you better have a group backup of mariners under that contract to say, I'm giving you options, take one of my people. That's awesome. That's in the law. It is approved. The only problem is when somebody from Las Vegas show up and he's a lawyer too. And he says, well, I got this much money and I'm going to drive the boat because I know how to drive it. And if you say no, I'm going to sue you. That's when the business gets ugly. But it's a reality. It may happen. So that's why bareboat renting is something that is gray in the law, was created for sure by lawyers to protect vessel owners, to give options to commercial businesses that are not real commercial, because where you're giving away if you're pleasure craft, not your commercial side of the business. But it is what it is. It is commanded by the Vessel Safety Act of 1993, who says that you as a boat owner are giving away your rights, but you can always have visibility on who's driving your vessel, and you can always says before renting out the vessel if you are in total agreement of whoever is in charge of the vessel. So if you guys decide not to be in total agreement, then you just halt the process immediately. Now, once you get a penny, I'm not saying $8,000, just a penny to hold the contract, they are on the contract already. Then you cannot say no anymore. Unless the vessel you can prove is like disabled. And that's another issue. Okay. So bareboat renting is something that I will always recommend anybody to go in that business, to get a nice lawyer and a nice a group of licensed mariners to have it on your contract. So you're giving options to whoever is renting to use your stack of mariners, but can never be the owner, operator, or a direct family member, because that's when the gray water becomes like real murky, and you can be like detained by the Coast Guard for that one. Well, that's the operation about commercial fishers, vessels that are operating as unregulated. Any questions, guys?
Yeah, we have two questions right now. One is, are any commercial vessels, like commercial fishing vessels, required to have immersion suits?
No, they are not.
Just
We
the
love
regular?
to just a regular one. Exactly.
Okay. And the other question is, are ghost boats a big problem, an increasing problem, or just a minor problem?
Well, the thing about ghost boat is like people, for whatever reason, they don't like to put their numbers on the side.
Yeah.
Or their boat's name on the side. No matter, we always go there and explain, hey, it's as easy as putting a piece of table. You like do a nice varnish on the side, put their name on the side, and you just recover it at the end of the day
Yeah,
if you just go back to your pier.
yeah,
But for whatever reason, in the fancy area, it's like they don't want to announce the vessel name on the port side or starboard side. And then, for whatever reason, on the transom, they don't like to use block letters to
yeah,
identify the boat name on port.
yeah,
There is a reason why it had to be block letters. And the main reason is because at the distance, it's easy using binoculars to identify the vessels. Now, when the vessel is recreational and they decide to use the script letters, we don't say anything. You're using your right as boat owner to do it as recreational boating. But when you're doing it as commercial,
mhm.
there is a requirement. It had to be block letters to be seen at the distance.
One comment from Captain Novak is note that marine insurers may have more stringent requirements than Coast Guard regulations. And
It
some
is,
of you may have even seen that when you go offshore and get a rider, they put some stipulations on there for what you must have that have nothing to do with Coast Guard.
that's the way it is. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, and Bruce can tell you about this, it's like we try to get the 6-pack and 12-pack operators in compliance, no matter it is voluntarily, because once they get the decal, they can go back to their insurance and show, hey, we are working in accordance to the actual laws and regulations, and the prices go under. The same thing that happened to you guys, you are forced to show the blue decal that you're inspected. That's the number one part. Now, if you decide to also bring immersion suit or balise raft on board, that will also lower you guys your ticket price for the insurance. A valise, for example, for 6 people, maybe it's $2,000. So if you're carrying away, let's say 10 people, then you may have 2 different valises, one for 6, one for 4. You carry your investment maybe is like $4,000, but if you're getting a subsidy from your insurance to account it every year, so in 5 years it's like almost free, because the valise doesn't need to be inspected every year. The valise only inspected every 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
It's all about how you play with the actual rules, but it's
Mhm.
not, it's cost effective, and it's also say a safety item, for you and your crew members and for the souls that you're carrying in that vessel.
Do we have
Any
any
other
other questions? You could unmute your mic if you wish, rather than having to type it in. Anybody else have a question or a comment?
Well, I have one comment. Angel, I operate commercial vessels on the Potomac River around DC. If we see something going on out there, I know there is a Coast Guard station DC. Should we call them?
You can call Coast Guard Station DC. You can call Sector Maryland.
Mhm.
Those are the 2 options that you have. If I were you, my first option will be Sector Maryland,
Sector
because
Maryland?
they will contact any station that they understand needs to be contacted. Also, in that moment, immediately the sector will put in place the inspectors in the area aware of the situations, and then you're going to have an inspector, an investigator, plus the captain himself immersed in the situation, unless the captain is an 06 military member, immersed in the situation, and then they will route any asset that they need and they understand should be routed to whatever area.
Mhm.
So
Because the-
always contacting sector is the first.
It's the one thing that I've noticed, and it's very disturbing lately, is the propensity for a lot of people to be running around out there with bow riders, and not the model of the boat either. I've seen 35, 40 footers out there with 12 people riding on the bow. And, I just want to get on a horn and scream at them, but it's not
Not
my
appropriate.
place to do it. But I think it's the only way that's going to stop is that somebody's going to have a terrible accident one day. I think people have been lucky so far.
Yeah, when you see something like that, for sure you can contact the sector and they will take any actions that they need to. Because sometimes, yes, a station Washington may be compromised, as I explained before. Too many hats on the Coast Guard head sometimes. But we also have great relationship with MD police, maritime police.
Yeah, I was going to
And
ask about that as well as the local authorities. In this
We do
case, the
that.
Metropolitan Harbor.
We do that. We do contact them, and then it's like they become part of our asset in that moment.
Gotcha.
So we have an MOA with DC, an MOA with Maryland, one MOA with Virginia. So depending on the area, we just transfer if needed.
Okay. Cool.
Well, one other question about life jackets. Some of our members and many of us are aware that there are new life jacket labeling standards, et cetera. Have they still retained the type 1s through 5?
Well, it is true. You are totally right. Since 2018, that is coming, still coming, and still coming, and still coming, and it will come. But for now, it's 1 to 5.
Yeah.
But it's in transition. It's like we allowing a SOLA certification on certain safety items. SOLAs mean international certification instead of just Coast Guard certification in certain islands. It will come to that level. It's not happening in 2021, but it will come.
Oh.
So yes, it is true. It's in the baking since 2018, and Bruce will tell you the auxiliary is very proactive every time they go out and see one of the new ones. We really appreciate the vessel owners who are doing it and the operators who are doing it, but it's not yet to that level. So we're still in transition. We're still calling it 1 to 5, where 4 is the trouble.
Anything else? Well, this has been very instructive because, as Bill mentioned, he and some other captains have noticed an increase in operations that we had questions about, particularly the bareboat charter and the boat club situation where they have a boat club, etc. And this helps clarify this I think, for all of us.
One thing about the boat clubs, if you guys are able to identify one of these fancy boat club where you just go into the internet and you become friend of the friend and you only pay for like $150 for the ride because you're a friend of the friend, yes, please let us know. Inform the sector, okay? Actually, Bruce is a great asset that you guys have in here, in-house, and Bruce know how to contact team as a sector examiner for sector Virginia, sector Maryland, and team will make it happen. We already stopped 2 operations in Solomon Island, illegal operation of these called clubs. We were able to stop one in National Harbor. He was coming out from National Harbor, going all the way down to Georgetown, picking up people in the rotunda.
Yeah.
And super obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like.
Can I ask the name of that operation?
The boat name, I can't remember the boat name.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I know a lot of the boats out here because I've been out here a long time.
No,
So
yeah,
curious.
that operation happened when I was in transition out to headquarters. I used to be the person in charge of Maryland, but now team is the one doing that shop over there, so I can't remember the name. So sorry. I know the one in Solomon's. One of the name was MB, right? The name I remember the name because it was a crazy name for to do an illegal operation. MV, right? So that happened.
Yeah, these things pop up from time to time, and sometimes our captains will see an advertisement for a captain, and they worry that they are participating in something that doesn't sound right.
Hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes people from other state will show up in DC and they will do the verbal part legally, and then they will contact you on the side, say, I want you to be my boat driver because what we're gonna be doing there in the party is gonna be hard and rough. So it's you as a vessel master to to have certain level of of decency and say, okay, yes, you can party up to this level. Certain things are stupid dangerous. So no, not in my boat because that's your license.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are two operations that are going on in Southwest DC. And I've just been wondering about them. There's one operation called Yahtzee. They're running boats that can't be more than 18 feet, 20 feet maybe. And they'll have like 8 or 9 people in there along with somebody driving the boat. I don't know the legality of what they're doing. I haven't looked into it really, but it just doesn't seem particularly safe.
Do you
And
know
there's
how they're
another
getting
operation that has
protected?
the same type of boat. It's almost like a Duffy boat, except I don't know how you rent these boats. It does look like there's a captain involved, and the motors, I think, may be electric. And I've seen them with about 8 people. And these are very small boats as well. So, it's just one of those things that that just cropped up over the last year.
Yeah, the guy with the electric boats. I know the office of Maryland is verifying that operation because the plate on the vessels is the one who's gonna dictate how many people
Mhm.
are going in.
Yeah.
They're being operated as a free as a jet ski. That's how it is right now. Because what the guy is doing, he's giving away his right as vessel owner. So he's really doing bareboat for these people.
Mhm.
And then the issue is he's not asking for licenses or anything to drive the boat because of the boat size, but he keep doing it with more than 6, and he already have one of the boat terminated for that reason. So I know that's an issue right now, and they're working on that one. Now the Yahtzee operation, I have never heard about it before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can later send me an email how these people are getting contacted, because we do know about the Craigslist bodies. We do know about the Uber yacht in Ocean City. Uh, that was apparently terminated. They stopped before we were able to do anything else. They just decide to vanish. And that's the thing about the internet. They show up,
Poof.
exactly, and then they just disappear. And because they are not giving names, not even boat descriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what happened to the guy in Yorktown, he was given the full description of the vessel. So when he showed up to the rotunda, we were like, "Oh, you're the guy. Hi." You know? But they are a little bit more wise how they do their business, and they don't announce with the real boat. They use somebody from the area. They take pictures. Oh, this is my boat. Yeah, the same style, different number. So when we go and stop the wrong one, doesn't look that good.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. A pleasure.
Is that it? Is everybody, any more questions?
I don't see any questions on the chat.
Okay. I should have gotten up a little while ago to get our gift to you, Angel, for speaking. You will be getting a classic CAPCA coffee mug. in the mail. I don't happen to have
Woo!
one right near me, but you know, it's a nice, heavy ceramic white mug with our logo on it. And every speaker, both virtually and in person, gets one. So you will be getting one from me within, John takes about a week to get it out, but I think you'll enjoy it. And I thank you. It was a very informative presentation. I made a bunch of notes here, which is why I was asking you those questions, because I actually got involved running a boat for one of these bareboat operations, and I cut them loose. I was not happy with the way it was being run. I didn't want to be associated with it anymore, because I tried to educate the guy as to what he was doing wrong, and he just wouldn't listen. Um, and I guess I may have told a couple of people about this, and those that I didn't tell probably heard about it. As karma would have it, that boat wound up on the bottom of the Potomac. Just not about a couple of weeks ago, and I was one of the first people called. Were you on that boat? Did you know about it? No, I was out there myself, actually, someplace else. But I did, you know, it was just, but there are a number of those operations in the area, as we all know. What you were talking about here has opened my eyes to a lot of them. And the question has always come up with us as an association, because the charterers will run a listing on our job board for captains to run the boats for these bareboat operations. And my comeback is that personally, and we don't have any bylaws that govern this, these people are not the owners. They're just looking for somebody to run the boat. So it's up to the captain to take a strong look at what they're getting involved in. Initially, I did, and I thought it was going to get better. It did not, and then I backed out. So, I mean, that's what we do, and that's what we have to do in order to maintain our own reputation, which is above and apart from our association. An association is just this: we come together and we exchange ideas, and we let people know what's going on and what to look out for. That being said, we are trying to come together live, possibly in November. That's our election meeting. I haven't had any luck, and I'll be honest, with the people at the Elks Lodge, which is where we always meet. I am going to keep trying to make arrangements for that. Also, we utilize the Elks Lodge for a captain's renewal. Again, it's one of the things, I have not been able to get hold of anybody. I actually got a call back from Jim there, but I wasn't home. And then he said to call him back after a certain day, which I did, and all I got is voicemail. So short of actually showing up at the lodge and trying to track him down. Yeah, Priscilla, yes.
Jim McNally actually emailed me today.
Okay,
So one thing got set. So this might be a good time to try, because he was away for a week in Atlanta. He's been running around, and because he's alive and he sent me something at 1:55 this afternoon, try again.
okay. I'll try him again tomorrow and see what we can come up with. This is our last meeting for the summer.
Until September.
Till September, yeah. So there is no meeting next month. We will meet again in September. You all will be notified. The link will be the same. It probably will be virtual. The one thing that I am concerned about is that the variants may cause Maryland to shut down live get-togethers once again. We don't know. But we will hope and pray that it doesn't, and that things will get better. You will be receiving, before the November meeting, a slate of candidates for positions coming up for reelection, mine included. And I will just say it, I've already told a couple of people, but I will say at this meeting, I'm requesting that my name not be on the new slate, only because I was supposed to be limited to 3 terms, and this is number 5 for me. So, and if you're all interested, I've already talked to Vicky, and I'll keep talking to you about moving on up. But there will be a committee that will be putting together a slate of candidates for next year. So with that being said, everybody have a good rest of the month, and stay safe. Have a good rest of the summer, actually. I was just sitting here while we were talking, I'm hearing rumbles of thunder outside, so I don't know if it's raining any place where you guys are, and it may be raining here. And I'm in Fort Washington, Maryland, right near National Harbor. So, but be safe out there. Angel, again, thank you.